When you deep dive into the world of your subconscious mind, you will meet the powerful creator that you are meant to be. Leave old and dysfunctional patterns behind. Have and become what you really want, and not just what you think you can. Develop a new relationship with the world and embrace your true destiny. Welcome to the Prosperity Mindset with Robertszentes. Hello everyone, welcome back. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about something that is very imperative for all of you, for every single person, and no matter how little or much self-development you have done on yourself, because I speak with a lot of people every week. We have a very successful coaching business going on. People reach out to us, they want to learn techniques, how to shift at the subconscious level, how to leave money sabotage behind, how to heal their relationships, how to heal their physical health and their emotional world. And I see a pattern that prompted me to create this podcast or record this podcast. And the pattern is very invisible, it's very dominant, but it's hidden from plain sight. It almost appears natural, but it creates nothing but painful sabotage. And when I talk about sabotage, most people think that the sabotage happens in the moment. Like, oh, right now I just made a mistake. Oh, no problem. Tomorrow is another day and I'll just be better. Well, here's the thing. Sabotage also means that you're making decisions that are actually against your long-term well-being. I'm talking about long-term here. A lot of these sabotaging patterns, they are so small that you will not see the negative result for another 5 years or 10 years down the road. But I see it. Obviously, that's why I'm a master coach, because that's what I'm trained in, is to teach you these patterns and to show you where they lead. But if you're looking at the world from inside out, which of course we all do, these will not become obvious. These are not going to be evident to you. So this episode is about a very important self-sabotaging thinking pattern, all subconscious, of course. But I want you to have this information, or use this information to expand your mind, because the moment you understand that this is going on, no matter what and no matter when, then you'll be able to stop your thinking. Your thinking is like a supercomputer. It runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It is incredibly powerful. It is very habitual, which also means that you've been thinking these thoughts for, forever, right? And if you don't stop them, if you don't understand that these thinking patterns actually have a momentum, they actually create very specific physical reality outcomes, then they will continue running like a car without a driver and just start hitting things. So the topic today is the 6 reasons why positive change and success become impossible for many. And if you want to improve your life, which actually is your number one obligation, okay, the reason why you were born is to learn things, to learn about life, to learn what in spiritual teachings call manipulate energy. And this is not the kind of manipulation that you would guilt someone into doing things. This kind of manipulation where you understand how energy works, how your thoughts create a reality, how you can actually talk to someone a certain way and you create friendships. You talk to someone a certain way and you form partnerships. So that kind of manipulation is what I'm talking about. And positive change is imperative. That's expected of you. That's expected of me. You know, we are all supposed to go up, but most people have no clue. They don't have the first clue that they are supposed to do that. So they stay stagnant, and there's no such thing either. You either positively change or you're going down, and most people are going down. So again, that's why I'm making this episode, all right? Now, also, there are a few people, it's a smaller percentage, unfortunately, who are success-minded. And there are many people, probably 80%, if not more, that are scared of success, okay? Because in their mind, again, this is all subconscious, in their mind, success has some negative connotations. They think success is blank. They think if they become successful, then they will outgrow their family, even if they are, not all that helpful or useful. So to quickly assuage your fears and your faulty thinking patterns, Success really is your mental attitude. When you wake up in the morning and you feel bliss, when you wake up in the morning and you feel healthy, when you feel really joyous, that's success. Most people think that money is success. Money is a completely different story, right? It's important. It's a very important thing. It's a very important energy that you need to buy physical experiences. But success is your bliss, is your joy, is your achievement, is your upward movement, is the positive change. So that's the topic here. And the 6 reasons that I compiled here for you guys are very dominant. It's true for almost every single person. And the reason number 1 why positive change and success becomes impossible for many is because the goals they set are too small. All right? Now, if you've done something successfully and you decide to do the same thing, that's not a goal. A goal is something that is stretching an old boundary, meaning that if you are very comfortable making $50,000 a year in your job, and then you set a goal to make 51,000 for next year, it's not really a goal. It's almost like guaranteed, okay? So there's no stretch in it. But when people think too small, and this could be true for entrepreneurs as well, when they think too small, then the question is, how high do you set those goals? What are your goals? And the reason why people don't set big goals is because they haven't overcome their subconscious rejection for failure. They have potentially thousands of subconscious fears and thinking patterns that if they were to set goals a certain size or too big, then they might be perceived as selfish or they might be perceived as blank, right? A lot of these thinking patterns are becoming like ridiculous, super outdated, but I'm gonna let you guys know that it's not a joke. And I don't care how educated you are, and I don't care how intelligent you are, because it doesn't matter. These subconscious patterns could come from your family. It could come from maybe grandpa who wasn't educated, but it still shows up in your DNA. It still shows up in your physical reality, maybe in the form of a conflict. So you might be able to mask it, you might be able to work hard, but all of a sudden you have a physical life circumstance and you scratch your head because it does not line up with anything that you have taught or you were taught or you actually have done. Okay? So how high do you set your goals? Do you reach for the stars or do you settle for less? If you don't reach for the stars, why not? What are your reasons? Some of these reasons are not easily accessible, but some of you already have a very cooperative unconscious mind, and you might be able to just get these answers up right away. Because the more cooperative your unconscious is, which means you don't distort the truth, you don't look for validation, you don't look for the perfect answer. Those perfect answers are your ego. But be blunt and be honest, and all of a sudden you'll discover ancestral patterns. You might have a childhood pattern, or maybe something you observed at the family table as you grow, as you were growing up. So, but then when you set goals, do you actually go for them, or are you afraid of, listen carefully, losing something? We'll talk about losing something, and this is the topic of this episode, the fear of loss. But here's the deal, guys. Success is absolutely not possible unless you are willing to give up something for it, even temporarily. All right? So success is absolutely not possible unless you are willing to give up something for it. And here's where a lot of people fail miserably, and that's why there's so much self-sabotage. So let's get into it. Now, this could be a habit. This could be something that has been going on for generations, because in order for you to achieve that goal, you might need to give up eating poorly, or you might need to give up your movie nights, or you might need to give up, certain family dinners. You might need to give up maybe your travel, okay? And giving up doesn't mean permanent. It just simply means that you have to put it aside and you have to reprioritize. Some people don't want to give up money to invest in themselves. Now, what kind of catastrophe does it lead to? Some people don't want to give up, the bad diet in order to get healthy. So what kind of catastrophe does it lead to? So the point is, the positive change is imperative. That's your birthright and it's expected of you. But there's this really tricky part of our mind that's controlled by our ego. It gives you physical pain because it makes you believe and think that when you go for something you want, actually that you're losing something else. So you have to become conscious of it, and you have to realize that in order for you to get to the new level, you have to leave potentially something behind, even temporarily. This is ridiculous, but most people absolutely have no strength to leave the past behind. Most people play the game of life to not lose A, B, C, to not lose time, to not lose money, to not lose, and you fill in the blank. There are hundreds of these subconscious patterns, and they don't know this. This is all unconscious. They are not bad people, but they are ruled and controlled by their mind. And this sneaky mental attitude keeps repeating through their whole life or until it's stopped. And the purpose of this presentation is for this awful, destructive, incredibly sneaky, egoic pattern to stop. So you can start growing, you can start evolving, and you can start actually creating a good life and not buy into that old ego pattern and the fear of loss. Now, here's the flip side. Successful people play to win. They don't focus on what they could possibly lose. It really takes a different mental attitude, and you have to use specific subconscious techniques to train your mind to get out of that loss fear, okay? It's not going to happen by itself. And by the way, a lot of those invisible barriers, a lot of those invisible ceilings that people, call thresholds. Oh, it's not for me, I can't do that. It's BS. They're only there because the subconscious mind hasn't been disciplined and hasn't been conditioned or reconditioned so that these thresholds become just obsolete and you can walk past them. So the successful people play to win, and they don't focus on what they could possibly lose, because what they focus on is what they gain. The positive outcomes, the goals they set for themselves, right? One of the things I always say, if you want something because your heart wants it, then find a mentor. Someone who has achieved it, someone who's been where you are and able to take you by the hand and give you the outcome, give you the results you're looking for, all right? So that was point number one. Point number two, you're sending mixed messages out to the universe. We are vibrational beings. Every thought has its vibrational quality. Every memory has its vibrational quality, and the total sum of what you put out, the total sum of what you project into the universe gets reflected back at you. Okay, this is not news anymore. This is common knowledge now. So if you're not getting what you want, then you have to work on clearing up your message. And what that means is that you need to work on your fears and your conflicts. All of these are subconscious. Learn the techniques, how to release the fears, identify different conflicts. Like there's a part of you that wants success, the other part is afraid of success. Very common. There's a very deep part of our mind that confuses dreams with our biggest fears. And since most people have no idea how to go about these things because it's not common knowledge, it's not taught, they simply buy into the fear and will completely ignore the dreams. But it seems innocent, but it isn't. Because most people think, oh, I'll just let this one go, the next one will come. No, it won't come because you have a habit of destroying your dreams. And if you never really do the subconscious change work, you will continue doing that habit till the end of time. Okay? And that creates illness, that creates sour relationships, that creates all kinds of money problems. So this is not a joke. This is not just some cute fairy tale, guys, okay? It is your obligation. All right? So clear decisions are necessary. No wavering. Make goals, make them big enough, focus on them, and make clear decisions, because when that becomes a habit, then all of a sudden your life begins to shift 1 degree at a time. And even if you have to turn all the way around 180 degrees, you'll achieve that when you work on your subconscious mind. Point number 3 is that you have a poor attitude. Most people have a really bad attitude. Success is not a matter of luck. It's a very precise science. Success is a matter of the right focus, the right attitude, and the success mindset can actually be learned and adopted. Yay! So waiting around to win the lottery just simply won't do it. Actually, if someone does win the lottery, without working through their mindset, which is tens of thousands of things. Most people have no idea. But if they do win it without cleaning up their subconscious programs, they will self-sabotage and they will lose it again. There are hundreds of reasons why. And they did not establish a container of wealth, a container of prosperity. Whatever they have established is way too small. That container did not have the capacity to hold the new wealth, the new prosperity, the new money, even the lottery, even it seems so like life-saving. It isn't. They don't have the mindset to manage it and to have the money work for them. So you need to grow your mindset first. And I know many people talk about mindset, but if you really understood the tens of thousands of subconscious programs that create your reality, you would all of a sudden take a step back and go, my God, it is my obligation to do so. And that is your obligation. So that way, when you do that, only then you can create a large enough container that will sustain your prosperity. Otherwise, you'll have this money rejection complex. Otherwise, you'll push money away. You'll push relationships away. You push opportunities away. And it will feel natural. You will think, oh, it's just the way it is. No, it is your subconscious conditioning that you are acting out habitually thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. What do you think that means? That means that you master your subconscious mind, and all the rewards will be added unto you. All the rewards become yours, but you have to work on your subconscious mind. All right, it's not a joke. It's not some woo-woo. That leads me to point number 4. The reason why it's very difficult for most people to become successful and create positive change is because you don't trust in yourself. Now, this should be easy to relate. I've been there. I didn't trust my decisions. I didn't trust my feelings. I didn't trust certain people. But this goes really deep. You see, most people don't trust themselves. They don't trust the universe, or they don't trust God. But the question is, do you really want success? Do you really want to feel bliss, happiness, peace, and joy? Are you willing to take the risk, even though there's no guarantee for you? A lot of people want guarantees. The only guarantee you have in life is your stability of your subconscious mind. When you stabilize it, when you discipline it, when you learn how to program it right so that it gives you the physical reality that you want, then trust becomes a totally different and amazing tale. People that become successful have taken many risks. The ones that are making it have taken many, many risks, and some were downright scary. But you see, the average person does not have the courage to take risks. Successful people follow their higher knowing. But you can only trust your higher knowing when you work on your, guess what? Your subconscious mind, because otherwise, I had an episode about it last week, your feelings, which are all tainted from negative memories and unresolved stories, will become your enemy. Your enemy, that's right, the enemy is in the house. It's your own thoughts that you haven't sorted out. Now, a lot of these negative memories and seemingly legit excuses are strong enough to talk you out of many good decisions. And I see this every day, guys. So you will make decisions that will keep you small, and that's why so many people are stuck. So successful people follow their higher knowing. What would it take you? What would it take for you to follow your higher knowing? Successful people trust and don't look back. Now, I remember when I began my self-development journey many years ago, I asked my mentor a question. I said, "Sir, what do you suggest I do next?" He looked at me. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "Robert, burn all your bridges and all your ships and don't look back." And at that time, I laughed because it sounded so almost silly. But that was the best decision that I could have made, and I made, because had I not burned my ships and my bridges, I would have had that safety run back to place, my safe zone, which is not always bad. But that's what most people do. They have sort of this safe zone and they are never willing to lose it, because even the loss that we talked about, they are not willing to give up that safety temporarily. Now, I'm talking about sensibility here too, but people are not really sensible. They are emotional beings, which means they are driven by the tens of thousands of subconscious programs, and you can talk to them logically and they'll look at you like you're some kind of alien, because their subconscious mind has crazy, unruly, undisciplined programs that will make all the decisions for them. Good luck being logical and talk to people. So, when you understand that there is all this stuff going on in your mind, and you're willing to, even in your mind, you don't have to set anything on fire, but even in your mind, burn your bridges and burn your ships just a little. And don't look back and start creating goals. It begins to move you forward toward what you want. And successful people also understand that every little so-called failure and mistake will bring them closer to success. Most people fear failure. Most people are wrapped up in their mistakes. But guys, you got to make mistakes to move forward. The one who never made any mistakes has never lived, never tried anything. How exciting is that? So when your thinking is right, success becomes inevitable. So if you want to become successful, ask yourself this: am I willing to put my energy, my time, my focus, and my money in this one direction? That's what focus means. You collect yourself, you work on your mind, and when you do, the rewards are inevitable. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Point number 5, scarcity mindset. This is very deep, one of the most ridiculous and the most complex problems that humanity has today. I wrote the book Mastering Your Mind, and in chapter 3 I talk about scarcity mindset, which most people think that it's only about thinking and believing that there is not enough. But there's so much more to it. Because scarcity mindset is also about you not being able to be happy for others when they succeed. Say a friend or someone buys a new car, or when they buy a new home, when they find the love of their life, and when they achieve success. Can you really truly be happy in your heart for them? If not, you're running scarcity patterns. Scarcity thinking patterns. These are subconscious. Most people have thousands and thousands of these scarcity patterns, and they're not even obvious. Are you comfortable recommending a friend's service to someone? Or are you maybe jealous or afraid that someone might look bigger and better than you? These are all scarcity patterns. Okay? But if you keep running these scarcity patterns unaddressed, they will actually push you back into scarcity, which is the absence of, guess what? The absence of abundance. And everybody talks about abundance and manifestation and how wonderful all this stuff is. But if you don't clean up your subconscious mind, you will recreate the junk. But you'll have wonderful stories and wonderful tales to tell about abundance, and yet you won't be able to achieve them. That's why we have so many talkers and so few walkers. So when you learn to recondition and rediscipline your subconscious mind, abundance becomes a byproduct, but not until then. So here's a cool exercise that you could do to start leaving your scarcity patterns behind. And this is a good opportunity also to hear your own ego, because the ego is going to get really upset. Oh, who is this guy? We don't have this. Oh, come on. We could see a little deeper than that, can't we? That's right. People have thousands of these, but your ego doesn't want you to know because it wants you to play small, right? So this is now a good exercise. Try and do this from now on. Send blessings and wonderful, heartfelt good wishes to others. Send good energy, positive affirmations for someone. Wish them well. See them succeed. Because here's the cool thing. When you do that, when this becomes a habit, and this will likely be a new habit, all of a sudden, this will come back to you. Whatever you wish upon others, consciously and unconsciously, will come back to you. Some people call this karma. So, wish others success. Wish others well. Say good things about your neighbor. Say good things about yourself. Say good things about the world. And all of a sudden, you'll start seeing a big turnaround. After all, the worst thing that can happen is that the blessings that you send to others will just simply come back to you. How wonderful. Point number 6, you might try to avoid problems. Big problem, huge problem. Most people, think that avoiding problems is the solution. It's one of the most dangerous things they can do. And here's why. Avoiding problems makes you not immune to them, but completely blind to them. And when you're blind to something, that means that they will hit you in the least expected moments. So don't avoid problems. Instead, grow bigger than your problems. And the way you grow bigger is when you work on your, guess what? Your subconscious mind. And when you evolve, your problems dissolve. And you can only evolve when you work through your subconscious programs. Okay, here we go again. This is not a joke. What does that mean to evolve? That means that you leave an old pattern behind. That means that, you leave your scarcity patterns behind. That means that you step into the energy of love. You step into the energy of not the shrinking that most people do, but rather the expanding, the expansion. That you're willing to make decisions to experience life to the fullest instead of hiding and playing small that so many people do. So whatever used to be a problem, when you resolve it at the unconscious level, it no longer is a problem and never will be. This is the beauty. The gift of all this inner work is that you will now be able to think bigger and achieve bigger, but not until then. So be solution-oriented and don't listen to the fear-based voice in your head that tells you that you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or you're not beautiful enough, and blank you fill in the others. Because if you want to make it, I want you to know that all successful people went through their cycles of fear. But instead of shrinking from their fear, they understood that they have technology. There are techniques, change techniques, that they can apply to get these subconscious fears completely eradicated from their library, from their subconscious library, so they will no longer represent and create these invisible ceilings. So they can make decisions to conquer things and conquer life and be able to move forward with a bigger and a stronger mindset. So, when you look at these 6 main points, point number 1 was set goals, but are they big enough? Point number 2, you send mixed messages to the universe. Point number 3 was you have a poor attitude. Point number 4, you don't trust in yourself. Point number 5, scarcity mindset. And number 6, that you might try to avoid problems. So what's common? There's one common denominator here, guys, is that the average person is fear-based and they carry a lot of negative emotions and they unconsciously focus on, get this is the answer, they unconsciously focus on not losing something they already have. Start shifting your focus to what you want and be willing to make sacrifices. Be willing to shift out of your fear of loss. It's an ancient pattern and the ego maintains it and wants you to believe it's true. There's a beautiful life out there. It's ready for you. Are you willing to claim it? If the answer is yes, you have to be willing to give something up even temporarily. So people who have succeeded, they have overcome their fears about their losses. When they invest time or they leave something out of their daily schedule, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice. It feels like an investment. That's the big difference. And ultimately, and I've said this in many other podcasts, guys, that ultimately your ego rolls these invisible obstacles in your way so that it can achieve one thing. And guess what that one thing is? To never achieve your higher purpose. Become conscious of that. Because when you realize that your job is to get rid of these barriers, to eradicate the fears and to move past these thresholds so that, guess what? What's the answer? Achieve your higher purpose. But as long as you listen to this ego, who's occupying most of your subconscious mind by now, you will not be able to do it because it will create evidence, false evidence, that makes you think that you're doing the wrong thing. And that's why I had the episode about, can you really trust your feelings? The answer is absolutely no. We love you guys. So listen to this again and again because it is really time to step up. Do it now. Claim a good life and show others what's possible. But you cannot ever, ever, ever do it until you leave your fear of losses behind. Tune in next week. We're going to have an amazing episode coming up. And remember to go to Amazon and look for my book called The Mastering of Your Mind because it describes in great detail how about these scarcity patterns, how they show up in your life. And I also do something really unique and really amazing, which is I share 2 amazing change techniques in that book so you can really shift at the unconscious level, not just talk about like so many people do. It's time to do about. We'll catch you guys next week.